Hello, I am celebrating 5 years of the United Art Space Hub. And if you don't know what the United Art Space Hub is, I will explain all in this episode. But it's a platform that I have built for artists over the last 5 years. And in today's episode, I wanted to share everything that I have learned along the way. Now, it might not be everything that I've learned because I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, but I will summarize some of the things that I've just sat here and reflected on the last 5 years and things that I think have been important and I think you'll really benefit from hearing as well. So, it was actually 6 years ago that I launched United Art Space online. It was even longer before that I launched United Art Space as a physical space. But we had our big fifth birthday last year, and we are six now. And then we have our hub birthday. I like celebrating, so I like anniversaries. We have our hub birthday, and so United Art Space launched online as a Facebook group to begin with, and it was a free Facebook group open to anyone. And we did art challenges together, and that's how it all first began online. And I really wanted to bring people together from around the world. And it was during that time that I noticed people's artwork and I would ask them, "What are you doing with this?" And loads of people were just saying, "I don't do anything with it. It sits in a drawer. I don't know what to do with it." And it made me really sad. And I felt compelled to do something about it. And I remember sitting with my friend Sharon and I remember saying to Sharon, I really feel that I can help people with this problem, which was ironic back then because I really didn't have the answers myself. But I was really fired up to create something where I could bring guests in and help people. So I did not see myself as an expert. I did not know anything about anything. That's what I felt back then. But I just felt this fire inside of me to just provide something for people. And so the journey began of me exploring and reading and researching everything about selling art, basically. And I think it had happened before the 5 years. So, because the hub launched 5 years ago, so this researching had happened or started, 6 or 7 years ago. And it took me a long time of just processing what it takes to sell, what makes some people successful, what makes some people not. And I interviewed artists, I read books, I just literally got obsessed by this topic. And then it led me to various conversations and ideas. And in the end, I ended up having the idea to launch a platform, which was a membership subscription platform. And I called it the Hub. And the idea was that we would build this platform to be a place for artists to learn everything there is to know about selling their art, to guide them, to be support, to connect them with other people from around the world, to have every single answer to every single question. And if we don't, we'll help them. And that was the vision. And that was 6 years ago. And I remember having that vision and being very excited about it and learning then everything I could about creating a membership site online. And I just, this was a whole new world to me. I didn't know anything about online business or platforms. So I had to roll my sleeves up and do a lot of learning. And I remember then 5 years ago launching it. We created this platform, my husband and I, we sat down and, it was just a shell because there wasn't anything inside it. It was empty, but it was a shell of what it would look like. And I remember launching it and I said to a few people at the time who were following me, that I have this idea to create this platform to help artists make a living, to help them make art, to help them find their place in the world, to help them find their voice, to have the answers, to bring you together. And it was born. So there was a lot of prep work actually that went in before the 5 years of it opening. There was a lot of research, a lot of learning, a lot of all sorts. And I remember at that point, before launching, I still was convinced that I'm not the expert. I can't teach anyone. I've never taught anyone in my life. I don't know anything about teaching. And it was still, I would bring people in as guests. But as I started to go through looking at, bringing people in to do social media and things like that, I realized that I did have something to say. I did know a lot and I hadn't before I started researching, but I had learned a lot. And so I started to create content as well that went into the membership. So I launched the Hub membership and we had our first round of people. Those people, who some are still members today, 5 years on, thank you, have shaped the Hub. And I would work with those members and ask them, what do you need? What do you need to know to get through your journey? And I started to learn myself what people needed. And we grew this together through those, I think it was 35 or 40 people that joined as a very, very beginning opening. And it amazes me to what the Hub has grown into today, 5 years on. It is a platform that has a roadmap that tells you which stage you are, with resources. We have guest experts coming in, the most amazing experts. We have member meetups around the world. We have resources every month to help keep you motivated and inspired. We have breakout sessions so you can meet people in small groups and talk and have your questions answered. There's a 24/7 community of people from around the world who support each other and care for each other and want to help each other. And it's just the most incredible, incredible, incredible space. And I'm so, so grateful to everyone who's part of it. And so I wanted to share, I've just been reflecting and I wanted to share some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. And by the way, if you would like to access the Hub, we've opened it up for enrollment for a few days this week. The link will be in the show notes. You can go and check that out. We'd be very, very, very happy to join us. And we've also got a video as well showing you inside the Hub platform. But I really want to talk about the big lessons along the way. So I think the first one, I was thinking right back to when I first started it. And I had the biggest goal inside my head because I remember the point when I decided to focus on launching the Hub. I had a kind of another job and I ended up giving up that job because it was taking up my time, and I had wanted to do this for a while, but I just couldn't get it going. It was taking forever. So I ended up working out my finances with my husband at the time, and we ended up going, right, okay, we can cut you off that job. We'll have to just cut back. It'll be really, really tight. And then you can focus on the Hub. And it was like, great, okay, it was scary. And then we did it. And then 3 months after we made that decision, my husband was made redundant and had no job and no income. And I had no income. And I was like, oh my gosh. So things got really stressful. So when I eventually launched the Hub, I'd read all these books about how you can launch something and make, 100,000 in an hour. And, there's all these gurus who are going, make 1 million in a week. And you can read these books that I remember reading one book. I won't say what it is because it is a really good book, but I read that book thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be a millionaire. And it was nothing to do with the book. The book is fantastic. And it is that way for a lot of people. But I just then convinced myself that this is going to solve all of our problems. And I was so fixated on that number, and the number being a number that would sort my family out, a number that would enable us to get out of the financial mess we were in and to bring an income in. And so I remember then it was like it shifted from being passionate about this platform that I'd seen a need for and that I was really excited about building. It had gone from that to now I'm selling this because I'm desperate and I need cash. And I don't think it was so obvious as that at the time, but I do think my energy changed towards the fear. And I need to sell this. This needs to work. And so then when I was, talking about the hub, I could feel I was selling it from this desperation, and it was a big shift. And so the goal, I realized, was completely unrealistic, because actually what happens when you read these books, you don't actually realize what's going on behind the scenes. To a lot of these people that have big success, they've already got a large audience, they've maybe nailed their messaging. There's quite a lot of moving parts that goes in towards building something and selling something. And especially when it's your first time selling something, it takes time to build the confidence of what it actually is and what value it brings. Just like your artwork, it takes time to explain that to people. And so anyway, to cut a very long story short, I launched, and like I said, we had 30 to 40 people. I can't remember the exact number, but it was, I think, around about £350 a month that we were bringing in, that we'd made, which is great, but it didn't come anywhere near paying the bills. So I was like, oh my gosh, I went into a complete downward spiral. I was crying. I was literally shocked, because I just convinced myself that it was going to be this big, massive thing. And now what am I going to do? And so I remember, and I've even got a video crying my eyes out. Like, I just can't believe this has happened. I've worked so hard. I can't live on this. It literally, I think it didn't even cover the costs of running the hub at that point. I think it barely did. I think it just covered the cost. So we had no income. So this was then the crazy bit, because I think, hold on, before I move on from that, is lesson 1 is learning about, goal setting, and actually not being fixated on the goal in terms of the end outcome. It's great to set goals, but I realize now that the reason I didn't hit it was because it was completely unrealistic, given the situation I was in, the experience, everything that was going on. It was a very unrealistic goal. And what I've learned now is, when I set goals, I do, as much as possible, detach myself. I aim for them, but detach if it doesn't happen, and question instead, why didn't it happen? What can I do? And have a different outlook on it. And that's one of the big lessons, I think, is learning that, is how we react to a situation. Of course, it's going to be upsetting if you wanted something, it doesn't happen. But then it's how do I look at this now? How are we going to fix this? So that would be number 1. And just understanding goals, like learning that, okay, that goal didn't work. Let's figure out why. Was it too big? Was it too small? Was it? So it's asking the right questions, really. And it put me off goal setting, though, for a long time, because I thought, I don't want to set a goal ever again. Thank you. That was devastating. But it's taught me so much that they do work. And it's just how we react and the questions we ask to fine tune a goal. And so from that point on, then I had 30 or 40, I can't remember, beautiful, amazing people who committed. This was the reality the next day. I thought, or the next week, however long it took me to cry about it. I have these most amazing people who believe in me. These people believe in me. There's nothing inside the hub, and they've said yes, and they've signed up because they want to shape something. So I ended up going back to my why, away from the desperation, away from the need to have this money, and going back to why I did this in the first place. I was doing it because I wanted to help people. I want to reach out to people and build this platform that I have this amazing vision for. And so that's what I ended up doing. I just put everything into my passion then, and like, right, let's do this. Let's make this work. And I remember asking people at the time, what would you like from this platform? What do you see this platform becoming? And I remember Maureen joined, and I'll never forget it. She said in a feedback form, I really would love to see the hub being a place where we have resources at our fingertips, answers when we need them, support, community, and it all laid out so it's all there. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. um, so then I had my big why and my vision again, and I was excited, even though at this point still, I don't know how I was going to survive because this was not enough money. I had no money to live. So at this point, a lot of people were saying to me, you've got to just let this go. This is not going to work. You need to feed your family. It's time to get a job. So many people said that to me. And they were probably right. But because I'd worked up to this vision probably 2 or 3 years before, I could not let it go. And I was determined and I believed in it. And so I literally have no idea how we survived. We had to get help, support from the government and all sorts. But the crazy thing was, not long after that, I was hanging on by a thread. So many people kept telling me to close it down, close it down. I was refusing to go and get a job because I was like, I've got these 30, 40 people now. I am going to go all in and serve these people and work on this platform. And it was like I was just obsessed. And I don't know. I can't even explain what happened back then. I don't know how I found the drive. I think it was through my why to carry on, even though we were in such a desperate situation. I think I just believed in it so much. And then, luckily, a few months after that, and we were at breaking point at this point, I was getting to the point where I am going to have to just close this down and go and get a job. Andrew got a job. And then that took the pressure off. And we were able to function for a while. And then I worked hard with the members and I just kept going, and I tried to sell it again, and I tried to sell it again, and I worked with the members and I'm padding it out with more content, and I just kept growing it and growing it. And so I think that's another lesson in all of this, is having the passion to do it is so important. You have to have a really strong why. I don't say you have to. For me, I did. This is my lesson I'm sharing with you. When the going got tough, and it got tough many, many, many times, even after that, I'd launch and it would be a flop and no one would sign up. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. This platform's amazing. Why doesn't anybody want it? And, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in how to sell and how to get in front of people, how to market, how to do ads. There's all these things that I had to learn as I was going along that I'd never ever done before. We had to learn the technical side of how to build a website. How do you lock content down? How do you let people in and out? And what if somebody cancels? Oh my gosh, what do we do? There's so many things that I had to learn. But I just reveled in it. I've never been so excited about anything in my entire life, and believed in something so much. And actually, when I think back to being a child, for me, I've always loved art, but then I always liked sitting at my desk with a pen, shuffling paper and planning and imagining being part of an organization. And it's so it's interesting how I've created this, because I think I've always, without realizing it, wanted to have something like this. It's been in me, and I've just never found it until 5 years ago. So digging back into that all the time, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I think I've always felt like I've wanted to do this. I've always wanted to help people. I feel passionate about helping the people that have joined, that have said yes, who believe in me, and I want to make a difference, and I want to learn. And so all of that kept me going when it got really, 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 really tough. So that, to me, in everything that you do, if you want to succeed in a big way, it's that drive, that passion is what carries you, but it's also what filters out into other people. That's how I got help and support from people, because they could see the passion. And I always say, this is what I want for others in terms of their art. I want you to feel that passion for your art and that determination, and know that it's going to change lives. Even if you don't feel like your little piece of art that's just scratched into paint is going to change lives, it can, in ways where you make a difference to someone's life. You make them feel calm or happy, or and it's believing that in your own work and what you do. And that is difficult sometimes. And I think that's why one of the big lessons as well is having a group of people around you that believe in you, I think is so important, because I didn't have really in my personal life anybody that believed in me. I had loads of people at the beginning. I was like, I've got this idea to create this platform for artists, and everyone was like, oh, that's exciting. And then 2 years later, people are like, how's it going? And I'm like, oh, still, yeah, still not making any money, but I'm still going. And you could see all these people just dropping off and dropping off and dropping off, and no one would ask me about it anymore, and nobody supported me. And then there's just like a couple of people still going, go on. and that fills you with fear and dread, and you think, oh my gosh, I'm pathetic. So to reach out, and those 30 to 40 people who first signed up, they were my people. They were people that believed in me. And that, now I look back, I think that's been one of the most special moments of my life. But at the time, I was devastated. I had those people sign up and I burst out crying. I thought it was the end of the world. I didn't know how I was going to survive. I didn't know how I was going to feed my family. And it was devastating. But looking back now, it was one of the most special moments of my life, because those people believed in me. They said yes and they signed up. And that was what kept me going, because I thought, right, these people are here. They believe in me. I'm going to do this now. And so I share this within my hub membership with our members. I got this phrase called find your voice, find your people. And it's simply finding what it is, your voice. What is it you want to say? What is it you want to say through your work? And find the first few people who connect with that in the simplest way, because those few people will end up being your support, the people that believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself at that point. So, and even I think if you don't believe in yourself, having people around you who do is very, very, very important, because when you have a wobble, you can go back to those people and they lift you up. And it doesn't have to be a lot of people. It can just be 2 or 3 people in the beginning, but having those people that believe in you 100% is important. One of the other things I think I've learned, well, not I think, I have learned, is the worry of people copying me. This was a big thing for me, and I share this because I see this a lot in people that I work with too, where there was a long time that I was just petrified of releasing anything, sharing any of my work, because I was so frightened of people copying it. Because I have worked my butt off over the last few years, and I've sacrificed a lot. You know, when you've really sacrificed, and I have, to the point where I was even putting my family in. Anyway, so when you've gone through that, you become very protective of what you've created. You've poured your heart and soul in. I researched for years. I then labored over content and created videos, and I invested in courses. And so there's been years of money spent and time spent and painful experiences. So I was kind of dubious in the beginning days of sharing anything, because I was terrified of people copying me. And then, I mean, I don't know what changed that. I think listening to my mentors and people along the way that say, it's best to, who would you rather please? The person who needs to hear you, or the person that might never actually copy your work. Because that's the truth. We can hold things back. And the reality is, somebody might never copy it. So then you're holding that back for no reason, because no one's ever going to copy you. And I was like, oh gosh, yeah. And actually, when you put your work out there, you can touch people, and you might have one person, you might have 10 people that engage and like and see it, and 1 out of 10 might copy. I mean, that's a lot. But so anyway, that was the kind of thinking where I was going, actually, it's best to put this out there. And people have copied me many times over the years. And here's what I feel about that now, is that people copy, and unless it's kind of like an explicit copy, like for like, and it's very, very, very obvious, I let it go on the whole. And the reason is, I have seen people, and people have pointed me to profiles and said, this person is copying you, and I've gone and had a look, and you can see. Um, but the why, they don't have the why. They don't have the passion. And this is the same for your work. If you have that passion, they don't have that. They're copying you because they don't have a clue what they're doing, and they just see something and think, "Oh, that looks good. I'll give that a go. Oh, they're making money. I could make money easily like that." It's not the truth. So these things fizzle out, and actually, that has happened. People that have gone on to sell copy, they just, it didn't last because they don't have the passion. You've got to have that passion to keep going, and that's where, if people copy you, a lot of the time you can just let it go on the whole, because they're not going to get anywhere. They've got no imagination. They haven't invented that themselves. They've copied it, so they're not actually going to get anywhere with it. They might sell a few, but then it's going to fizzle because there's no substance behind it. When people ask them, why did you set this up? They can't explain because they copied it. So, there's a lot to be said for having a big, strong why you're doing what you're doing. And the other thing is, if someone does explicitly copy you, you can do something about it. And I have done that over the years. If somebody has outright copied, then I've taken action. And you can do the same with your art. You can take action and say, no, that's my work, take it down. So I wouldn't let that stop you. And that's been something that I've learned over the years. And actually now, by being more open and transparent and sharing things, it's helped me build an audience rather than holding things back and being cautious. So I think the other lesson is, done is better than perfect. So I remember I remember at the beginning, you want to get everything right, and you're launching this thing, and you just want it to be perfect. And oh my gosh, I do remember in the beginning days spending months and months perfecting things and fonts and all these things. And then I think it was my mentor Stu who said, done is better than perfect, just get going. And he always says to me, what is the 20% you need to do to get 80% of the results? And that's one phrase I come back to all the time, because we can just get obsessed about something, a website or the artwork or a lesson that I'm pulling together or an email. And yeah, we want things to be right. And, you don't want things to be sloppy and messy. But equally, when you focus on what you need to just do to get it done, that's what keeps you moving forwards, and that's what helps build momentum. And so now I look back at the first editions of what I ever created. The first edition of the hub, was pretty terrible. There wasn't anything in it. It was empty. It was an empty platform with a header, and we had to learn by doing. So I think that's one of the big lessons. Done is better than perfect, and then you rinse and repeat and you learn. So we got the hub out there, and even when I launched it, I still wasn't happy with it. I could have spent 2 years working on that platform, and I probably still wouldn't have been happy with it. And this is another big lesson. So I remember back in the day, 5 years ago, when Maureen said to me, I'd love it to become a platform where artists can get all the answers, and we've got all these resources and every single question answered. I was thinking, yeah, I can get that done in about a year. And that was the timescale I had in my head. Yeah, let's do this. I've got about a year. And it's only now, I would say 5 years on, that we are at that point. 5 years it's taken. And that's another big lesson, is things take time. I had all these things that I'm going to make 100,000 in a week, and I'm going to get this whole hub finished in a year with every single answer. It takes time. It really does, to try things, to make mistakes. That's important. I've learned that. It's really important to make mistakes, to try things, to learn and to experience a flop and go, that didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. Not everything is going to work, and you have to try things, and you've got to be prepared for things not working. I remember the first few times when I made mistakes, I'd be like, and now, well, I learn from them. Every mistake I make, I acknowledge it. Well, I wish it hadn't have happened, but And actually, I was thinking back about this, that would I change anything in the last 5 years? And I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I really contemplated this before I came on this session, thinking, have I learned lessons that I wish I could maybe erase parts of what I've done? Maybe, loss of money. And I wouldn't. I literally would not change it, because I've learned so much from the whole 5 years experience. And we are now in a position with the hub, if you go and check out the demo video, you'll see what I mean, where we have the most incredible platform. It is full with the most amazing resources, downloads, templates. There's email templates for you to send to people. There are planning templates. We have guest experts on selling and Instagram and social media, and how to write about your work and how to be confident. It's just fantastic. And so it's really dawned on me how we underestimate so much sometimes, and that it's okay to take a long time. And even though it took me 5 years to get to this point, which is where I saw, I was getting frustrated along the way, thinking, God, we're still here, and we're still here. And every year I kept thinking, oh, we still got this to do, we still got that to do. And we still have things in the hub that we want to improve, but the vision that I had 5 years ago is what it is right now, and that feels amazing, and it's still going. That's the most important part of this, because I remember when I launched it, I thought, I don't know if I want to run a membership. Like, what if I get bored after 6 months? Because that's what I usually do, and then I want to close it down. And I had all these fears, and it is still going. I think this is the longest thing I've done in my entire life. But that reality of things take time. Things take time. And if you have a vision and you believe in it enough, to me, it really doesn't matter how long it takes. If you're still excited about it and you keep that fire alive, it really doesn't matter, because you've got the rest of your life to make it happen at the end of the day. And it's been the most incredible 5-year journey, learning and making mistakes and meeting people and growing it, and trial and error and learning along the way. And every year we delve and shelve, and we look back and think, right, what should we move forward this year? And so I think the final thing, and then I'll start wrapping up, is that you have to believe in what you're selling. And I think it goes back to that why. And it overlaps what I said earlier as well, about if you don't believe in it, find other people around you that believe in you. And you really want to start getting behind what you do and believing it, because that's what sells. And there's no better feeling than you believing in yourself and your work. When you do that, you want to shout from the rooftops about what you do and what you have, and what you're passionate about. And so that's one of the things I would definitely take away from the last 5 years as well, is like really believing. And there's times when I have big wobbles, when I doubt myself, and I record a podcast and maybe it's a bit rubbish, and I think, oh, I've lost it, I've lost the magic, and you start to panic. And what I do in those moments, you have to have a strategy for going back to believing in yourself again, and you've got to turn it around. Because if you start going down that dark slide of I've lost it, I'm not talented anymore, I've lost my mojo, I'm not going to ever get it back, it can rapidly sink you into a place where then you want to shrivel up and not put yourself out into the world. So as much as possible, I am always working on that belief in what I do, the belief in who I am and what I do and the value, and also acknowledging that I do have bad days. I do have days where I release something that's rubbish. I do have days where I make loads of mistakes and I send it out before I've actually checked it because I forgot. I do make mistakes, and it's okay. And on the whole, though, I'm doing all right. And I should acknowledge that. And the same likewise for all of you. And so I think it's believing in yourself as much as possible is really important. And whether that's going back to your people and being fed by compliments, because I always talk about having a confidence bucket in your brain. And my friend and I were talking about this the other day, actually, how the confidence bucket, which can be your belief bucket as well, in your head, has a hole in it. And you can feel really confident about what you do 1 minute, and then somebody might say, this podcast was terrible, or this artwork is awful. You're not taught. Oh gosh, you're self-taught. And then the whole leaks, and you're like, oh no, I'm rubbish and I shouldn't be doing this, and I'm an imposter, and who am I to be here, and I should just go off and get a normal job where I can hide away, and all these things. And we have to keep topping the bucket up always with nice positive stories, going back, looking at something that you've done where it had a nice response, or going back to something that made you feel good, and constantly topping that bucket up, whether it's the belief bucket, the confidence bucket. So yes, that's it. That's the 5-year reflection of the hub. And so if you would like to become a member of United Art Space and access the amazing hub and our wonderful, wonderful community from around the world, we'd love you to join us. And it's a go at your own pace platform, but we have this amazing roadmap. Go and check the video out. Even if you're not interested in joining, just go and check it out, because I'd like you to know it. And if you know anybody that would benefit from it, please do help spread the word. As you know, we've been working on this 5 years now, and we think it is amazing. But anyway, thank you for listening. I hope some of those reflections have helped you in your own journey with your own life, especially as we move into 2023 soon. Oh my gosh. And thank you for listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care. Bye-bye.